Okie doke, welcome back to Scouching's video room. Today we are looking at Minnesota Wild first round draft pick, Zeev Buium. I was a huge fan of Zeev Buium going into the draft last season. I thought he went a little bit too late in the draft, but we'll see what happens in this game. If you're not familiar, we take a look at one game of footage of a player. We look at the positives, we look at some of the areas of potential improvement, and we just get a really good cross-section of what it is that a player is bringing to the table and might bring to the table in the NHL in the future. So we'll get right into it. Zeev Buium is this guy here, the left-handed defenseman for the Denver University team, which has been, again, very, very good this season. Zeev Buium probably factors into that, but we'll take a look at why. He's number 28 in red, and let's have some fun. Let's see how this goes. So this is, I think, a really good example of why Zeev Buium is such an intriguing version of what I believe is a modern offensive NHL defenseman. So he is this guy here. So off the faceoff, he tries to chip it up the boards and it gets blocked. Takes down his man here. But what you'll see is now Denver has, I believe this is a forward, collapsing pretty deep into his own end. I believe that's Buium's defense partner here. This is Jack Devine, who is having another great season with Denver here. And Devine makes no mistake, because watch Buium here. So Buium recognizes this, and this is what he loves to do a lot of the time. He'll just jump right into the rush. He'll behave as if he's the winger on this play, takes a great breakout pass from Devine in stride, gets into the offensive zone. Ideally wouldn't turn it over there. I'll back it up just to show the whole thing in total, but there's confidence here. There's a guy who wants control of the puck. You know, we saw this with Berkeley Catton in the last episode. In the situation like that, just don't turn it over, right? Get it in deep. You know, if you can split the D, if you can dangle through defensemen, then that's great. But if you can't, and if you don't, it can be frustrating. So this doesn't go 100% of the way that I think Buium wanted it to go. But again, what we're doing here is we're looking at little flashes, little moments, little things you can pick at and go, okay, I see the player do this often. I see the player try these things. And if they can refine it and get a little bit more comfortable with it, then there could be something really interesting there. So what we'll see is Buium get a little chip pass from here and a little cut on the offensive blue line, right? So again, it doesn't quite work out because he's facing some good pressure here from this guy right here. But his momentum was taking him this way. Quick cut back this way. He loses possession of the puck, but kind of half chips it out to the open man here and maintains possession. So there's a little moment there of, okay, there's some good offensive zone work here from Buium. And if you can refine that, get more reps and keep going, push your limits a little bit and see where it goes, then yeah, that's a really impressive trait to have if you can pull it off in the offensive zone like that if you're a defenseman. Okay, this is why I loved Zeev Buium last year so much. There was a lot of talk about some of the other high point producing defensemen, you know, the Parex, the Dickinson, whatever. But the thing that I love about Zeev Buium is that he puts things together at a much more fluid, high-paced style of play that drives pucks deeper into the offensive zone than those guys. And this is a really good example of it. So he fetches the puck on his backhand, quickly pivots around, and he's just going to carve into the middle of the ice here. But the way he does it, I think it's just projectable. So he fetches the puck, and you'll see he fakes one way and then fakes again and cuts through and then sends a pass through the slot there. A really high-end offensive play here. So Buium is cut. He just cuts with his skates to face this way. He seems to be penetrating that direction. Then he makes another sort of fake stutter step here and then cuts the other way with really good footwork and really good skill level. Cuts into that seam. Doesn't just put a soft backhand on net, but spins and tries to get the puck through the slot to, I imagine, this player. Just a really high-end offensive play there that I think in the NHL you can see a player get away with doing stuff like that. No problem. This is a tiny little thing, and I might be too picky here, but Buium does make a really good read here, right? The puck's coming around. He's got all the time and space in the world here, right? This is a chasm of space. And he kind of just wastes the opportunity and makes a much less exciting play than he could have by stopping, waiting for the puck to come to him, and now he's facing pressure. So I would think, especially with an offensive defenseman like Buium who loves to pinch into the offensive zone, just keep your feet moving and grab it and take it for a ride, see what happens, right? Because you have the time and space, you have the room, and now you're facing pressure, and you do maintain possession, right? You do, but that could have been a turnover. That when you have a situation like this, you know, I would have loved to see him carry his momentum, try to get the puck down low. You know, he's got an option here. Again, he could rim it around. This guy maybe drifts to the net, and he may have a slot pass. but now he just sort of keeps it to the outside. Again, I'm being a little picky here, but this is a really talented offensive defender, so stopping on the half wall, to me, just kind of wasted what could have been a very interesting opportunity, even though he maintained possession on that play. So this is where I have a bit of an issue with Buium, and it's on the defensive rush scenarios. He has great sort of footwork and really fluid mobility to him. So you'll see, he has a decent gap here to this guy. And this player, though, now has options of which way to go, how to cross him up, or anything like that. And so Buium, he's not facing towards the defender here. He pivots, commits to a certain direction, which kind of gives this defender the opportunity to pull the puck this way and cross him over that direction, which he does and gets a shot on net. So Buium can be a guy who commits a little bit quickly, a guy who turns his body in a way that basically tells the opponent which way to go on him and which way to test him. And I've seen this kind of happen with him a little bit here and there. And it's not the end of the world, but it is something that I think needs to be refined. Buium's just been kind of doing his thing on this shift, not, doing anything amazing, but you'll note, where in the world is Zeev Buium? Well, he's this guy. So just carving into that offensive rush as if he's a forward. But that's what I love to see, because then he's right back to doing his defensive coverage, right? So he finds little pockets of space, little bits of time and space to basically jump in and push things offensively a little bit more, which I think is a really, really good way to play modern hockey, right? Have defensemen in a forward structure that the defensemen are allowed to step up a little more and the forwards cover for them, and defensemen don't bite off more than they can chew and they kind of step back into their role a little bit, but pick the right times to sort of be a little bit surgical and tactical and push offensively. And I think Buium does that stuff really, really, really well. Here comes Zeev Buium again, right? So Denver, they're on a little bit of a rush here. Just a wonderful read from Buium here, right? He just keeps his feet moving, just keeps going. He's got a runway here. You've got 3 Western Michigan guys here on the left side of the midline of the ice, so to speak. Buium just has a runway of room, carves into the middle of the ice here, still in open space the whole way, gets himself a scoring chance from a really dangerous scoring area, and this is just what he does, right? It's very important to look at a player who produces points and go, how do they do it, right? And that's another thing about Zeev Buium that I really, really loved last year with regards to him in the context of other offensive defensemen. A lot of the offensive defensemen I see over the years are point shot heavy. They'll make one move at the offensive blue line, shake off a guy, put it on net, and sometimes they go in, or a rebound and they get their assist goes in. But with a guy like Buium, he's jumping into dangerous areas. He's jumping into scoring areas. He's pushing play into the offensive zone, into places where I go, yeah, in the NHL, if you want to score points as a defenseman these days, that's why I liked him so much last year. That's what I'm liking a lot in this game. You're seeing a lot of this. I think the skill level and the footwork is a little bit more fluid than it was last year, working in conjunction with one another. I think he's looked really, really good in this game, especially offensively. That's good defensive coverage. He takes a penalty doing so. But for a guy who I thought had a little bit of defensive issues, I'd like him to get better body positioning here, but he ties up the stick pretty well, takes the guy out, driving him into his own net, but there are ingredients there for Buium. Here he goes again. So this is him coming out of the penalty box, and they had a little bit of a cycle situation before this. He had a few attempted exits, and some of them, were better than others. They weren't bad. They were just cut off in tough pressure situations here. This is just a really, really great move here. Again, the footwork and the skill level, obviously you want him to be a little bit tighter with the puck there on his puck control. But again, we're talking about what can you take away, right? And those little explosions laterally, those little moments of skill are, I think, what sets Buium apart. And there's another one, right? So right off this face-off, you see a guy who is deceptive, right? Which way is he going? I don't really know. He faces oncoming pressure from this guy here. This is also a threat potentially as well. And he just kicks the puck out to the wide open man on his wing. So he recognizes these situations, makes plays, does the thing. He's a very, very, very talented offensive player, moves the puck up the ice really, really well. And oh my good, yeah, he just rocks. Okay, he fell down, but still, what is this, right? This is what you need to do. I wouldn't be able to defend that. I mean, I'm not a very good hockey player myself, but come on. And he finds a way to make a play while falling to the ice. Obviously you want him to stay on his feet, but in the NHL, find ways to make plays. That's it. Easy peasy. Wow. This camera operator needs to figure out their exposure settings. So on this defensive entry, again, this is an area where I think Buium needs to be a bit better. So he does have body positioning on this player here. He is facing some tough physical pressure, but being able to resist this and when you have body positioning, make a play of some kind, like he just gets beat too easily there. So this is kind of where Buium needs to do a bit more work, I think. Oh, there's your exposure settings. There you go. Way to go. It's a relatively minor thing in the grand scheme of this game. I think he's brought a lot of positive things to the table. It's just those defensive interactions I think are a bit of a work in progress. So this is where I also would just love to see Buium get a bit more explosive with his footwork, right? Like it's very fluid. He gets around the ice really, really well, but I would just love to see him with all of this space, right? You'll see he does the right thing. You know, he sees this seam and just pushes the puck into the offensive zone as deep as he can, but is a little bit slow to make his move. They close the gap on him a little bit too quickly and he turns the puck over. But if he's just a bit quicker, if he's just a bit more explosive there, if he's just a bit more, then he could have been off to the races in that situation. You know, that's not always the name of his game, but it certainly would help unlock a little bit more offensive potential in his game. This is just a really nice pickoff in front of the net. Quick stick on the puck, blocks the guy's stick coming in after it, and they get the puck moving the other way. So here, Buium showcases the fact that he's also not small, right? He's not the biggest defenseman around, but he's also not small. And he uses his reach really, really well. Just a nice how do you do, gets his stick on the puck, and boom, they're going the other way. Cool. You know, the best way to play defense is by preventing control of the puck through the neutral zone. And if you can do that, you can lose physical battles in the defensive end here and there, no problem, because you can make up for it in other areas. That's where I come down on it. Another really beautiful set of footwork and skill, but geez, yeah. See, so yeah, this is interesting, right? Again, you have the room, you have time and space, right? There's a chasm of room here for you to play with, and he makes it difficult for himself, right? I mean, it's beautiful, the skill here and the little fake one way and going the other way. Again, a little bit more explosive to plow into this gap a little bit quicker, you know, create some separation from this pressure, and it unlocks so much for Buium, but nearly bobbles in at his own end, which you don't want, but then uses his edges again, creates a gap that way, goes D to D, and they get the puck out of the zone. It's very interesting going both ways, right? There's some really good things to take away from that, but also some learning to take away from that, some potential improvements to be made. Again, this is really good entry defense relative to what was going on earlier in the game here. So Buium closes this gap, leads with his stick, takes that option away with a stick check, then gets his reach in there, pokes at the puck, and gets it away from his man. So he basically prevents possession there, needs some help from his line mates, but that's kind of what you need him to do, right? Get involved, make something happen. I think that on this play, so what you'll note is the puck is coming this way along the boards. It's going below the goal line. This guy here, Buium's partner, is going to take the onus of cutting this off at the defensive zone in the goal line, or behind the goal line, I should say. So the forechecker here, 34, is just plowing into the offensive zone. These two guys are going to go in behind the boards together. And what happens is this guy on Michigan State right here is going to support the puck behind the goal line as well. But Buium is here, right? So there's a bit of a switch. So the guy on the right side who probably would be normally covering this player is now below the goal line. Buium doesn't fill that space and cover the front of the net here. This guy is not really doing much either. And now they get themselves a nice slot pass chance here that gets blocked by 27 in front of the net. I get the feeling that Buium, you know, again, he's facing this direction and doesn't really see this or this happening behind him. Getting more square and making a little bit of a better read here, recognizing his partner is relinquishing space on the ice and covering this area a little bit better. And again, a step of quickness to jump into that space a little bit better. Maybe challenge the play below the goal line a little bit better, because he's not really factoring into the play much defensively there. Leaving open space in front of the net when your partner crosses over to your side can be troubling. So Buium is a bit of a wild man on this little sequence here. I don't know if it's like the most critical situation really, but he does do the thing here at the defensive blue line, stopping that potential entry, getting in the way. He lets two guys behind him. A little chip gets behind him, so they are now in the defensive end. Buium Buium, gets his way there, stick check, causes a turnover. But I like him to be a bit stronger on his feet here and apply a little more physical pressure, maybe. But he gets the job done, right? I mean, I don't really care how you do it, but as long as you get it done, and that's fine by me. I'm not being too critical of Zeev Buium here, but it just, you just got scored on. Buium didn't, but Denver did. It's a face-off. Don't ice it. You got the skating. Double back. You see this a lot more in Europe, right? You've got the pressure here. You're not going to carry it from here, right? But we've seen him do it. Double back. He's got his partner off the screen to this direction, who can then sort of do the whole swing it out wide kind of thing. It's a pet peeve of mine. You get scored on. Defenseman immediately ices the puck. You have a defensive zone face-off. Just a pet peeve of mine. That's all. Really good defensive coverage here from Buium, so he's tying this guy up here and just sticks with him the whole way, applying physical pressure. He gets picked a little bit, but he gets right back into it, covers the stick in front of the net. That's what you want out of your defenseman off the puck in the defensive end a lot of the time, so good on him for doing that. So again, this is where I feel like explosiveness would really help Buium a little bit more from here. So he's got the puck, he's facing pressure from this guy. Denver just got fresh legs on the ice, so, this is probably a good play, right? He's just firing it into the offensive zone and ringing it around the boards, but with a guy this skilled and creative, just seeing him be able to explode into that gap and join the rush with these fresh legs would really be something, and this is still pretty early in his shift as well, so I'm not sure if he's just tired or not, but it just creates a more difficult scenario in the offensive zone because you have to go and retrieve it when he had the momentum and potential route to get deep into the offensive zone from there. This is another thing I really like out of Zeev Buium coming up here. So he'll fetch the puck just inside the defensive blue line, and he'll let the game kind of go on around him a little bit. So he won't just make the first play that comes to mind here, which, maybe a little bit of a pass here to this guy who's streaking this way. He'll wait, right? And now he has much more space to play with, right? So he misses on this pass. Maybe he could go off the boards and have it go this way or something. But the right idea, good execution, not amazing. They beat the icing out. And so, again, I'll back it up. But just that little moment of waiting, and you create better options for yourself, right? More space, less pressure. And here he goes again. Almost. You see how a player like this can be so productive. He gets right into the offensive zone. He's cutting into scoring areas, loses track of the puck a little bit there, gets it back, great board work, spins off pressure, keeps it down low, gives it off to a line mate. They don't corral it, leads to a turnover. But the ingredients are there. Those are the ingredients you need to see. This is just a really great carry from Buium, at least to get it out at the defensive end. So they bobble the puck along the boards. He calmly just grabs the puck, and now he has it, creates some room, and gets the exits. Watching him circle around the back, he has a runway here to play with. He's got options. Again, a little bit more explosiveness to gain some separation from this guy a little bit quicker, and he could have a lot more options, but he makes a good read here, right? This guy's going this way, this guy's going this way, this guy's going this way, so go this way. Cut behind these guys. Handles are not amazing in that situation. A little bit of hesitation, a little bit of a fumble, cuts off some time, not ideal, but makes a play, gets it out, isn't handled amazingly, and off they go. Here he goes again, right? Zeev Buium scores a lot of points. He does it in the NCAA. Really tough to do for a defenseman, but he's got the yellow brick road here, right? This is all him. The only guy he has to deal with is 28 here. All four of Western Michigan's players are over there. He just steps right in. It gets stick checked, but he's there for the scoring chance, and then he's back to cover for himself. It's those off-puck moments, stepping into the offensive zone, identifying space, getting in there, and getting really good scoring chances, right? Amongst the other high-end offensive defensemen from last year's draft, he was a little bit different, doing these kinds of things a little bit more, which I think project a little bit better to the NHL. So Buium takes out his man when he has the puck here down below the goal line. That's cool. And he gets the stick on the puck and gets it out of his end. So there are moments where he does the thing defensively, which cool. So this doesn't end super great for Buium. He coughs it up at the offensive blue line, but this again is a showcase of kind of what makes him so intriguing, right? The word dynamic is something that a lot of people use all the time. To me, dynamic players are guys who can really push the pace of the game, but also slow things down, mess around with the speed of things, and keep opponents guessing a lot. And I think he does that really, really well on this. So sure, he could just rush the puck right out and go as fast as he can, but he doesn't. Quick little skill move, one side goes to the other. Again, just get it in the zone. Coughing it up on an offensive entry like that, under pressure like that. Another pet peeve of mine, you have the lane, just get it in the zone. Do something with it, right? But nothing happens. He faces a good stick check, doesn't even get it into the offensive zone. So little tiny things like that are a bit annoying, but the deception and the skill level and all those things in transition, really, really fun, really, really impressive, and I think project really, really well. He can push things a lot. He can slow things down a little bit. He can be deceptive. He can play with skill. He can play with his feet. There's a lot to like about Buium as an offensive player for sure. Buium is playing on his offside here. They don't get possession of the puck. They're coming the other way. Buium commits really hard to double team this player in transition with his partner here. And that just opens up a lane for this player to trail the play and gain possession in the offensive zone and get a chance. I think obviously number 7 here, back checking a little bit more would be very helpful. But, you know, did Buium need to double team this guy here when this guy's pretty well covered? Again, getting skating backwards, use your lateral mobility to close that gap there and challenge the player. I might be nitpicking again, but those commitment moments defensively, I feel like have crossed him up a little bit here and there over the course of this game. So here goes Buium again, right? On this offensive exit, he picks it off, makes a little move, creates some space for himself, another little move, creates a lane for himself, and he's in the offensive zone. Gets that offensive entry and doesn't get the puck in the zone, right? They say pucks in deep is a cliche, but they do it for a reason, right? It's better to get the puck below the goal line and try to grind something out than to turn it over literally as soon as you gain the offensive zone. Gaining the offensive zone is really tough in the first place. So turning it over there, and then again, not following up with a whole lot of pressure. You know, you turned the puck over, you know, get in there, right? You're the one guy, right? But he kind of relinquishes it, lets the guy make a play, and they're coming the other way. So you can be a confident player, right? Like, I love confidence, and I love Zeev Buium as a player. He's really, really impressive. It's just when you're going to bite off stuff like that, chew on it. And if it doesn't work, follow up, right? Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. A really nice read here from Buium again on his offside here. He is this guy. So tying his man up on the boards, again, causing those offensive zone turnovers. I mean, again, the best way to play defense is to never have to play defense. And that doesn't really go his way. Again, it's that imposition, right? You're making the right play. Your head is in the right place. Just win the battle, right? Like, get in there. It doesn't go his way. They get the puck out of the zone and into Denver's zone. But that's the kind of thing I want to see out of him, right? It's just it's not there yet, but the brain is there. The mindset is there to play his style at any level. It's just, it's close. A little bit more explosiveness could make Buium an absolutely terrifying player to play against, right? He collects the puck, uses his crossovers to generate some speed, but the gap gets closed on him real quick. He gets the puck off his stick onto someone else's. It's at the end of the shift, so it's a little forgivable. But, and they just scored. Wow, look at that. But it's just those little things. I'm trying to help him become as good as he possibly could be, right? And I think there's an enormous ceiling here for Buium. It's just a matter of, I think, getting him to that straight line speed level that you desperately need to see out of a guy like him, where it just adds more tools to his toolkit and could make him a really, really, really threatening offensive defenseman in the NHL. You see the ingredients. It's all there. It just needs to be put together. This is, again, just a beautiful move, picking up the puck in the offensive zone. So he's working his tail off to get there. And just watch what he does here, right? So what he'll do is just a beautiful pivot, gets skating backwards. It's hard to draw, but he'll basically get himself turned around and facing the net this way with really not that much going on around him. So now he's got tons to play with, right? I mean, there isn't a ton of passing options here, but he's got room to play with, right? He could put one on net from here. You know, he could just put it into the corner here. There's options for him, and he made that happen on that offensive zone turnover by just a little skating move, working off of pressure and creating some room for himself. Walks the blue line a bit, gets the puck on net. So not the most high danger play there, but really, really good footwork and really, really good thinking there to create some room for himself and give himself an opportunity to do something. This is what I love to see, right? This is kind of what I'm talking about with explosiveness, right? He's just off to the races, fires a pass on the defensive exit. That's kind of what I want, especially projecting to the NHL. You know, get your feet moving, lean forward, knees over toes, push, 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 quick pass, hard pass, get it out of the zone. So that's going to be it for Zeev Buium this game. I thought that was really, really good. Similar to pretty much everyone we've done in this series, everything I've seen with their game that is both positive and an area of improvement is still there. With Buium, I thought that he had the most intriguing offensive toolkit out of any defenseman last season. And in terms of being an offensive defenseman in the NHL, I think his skill level, the deception, the thinking, the creativity, the thought process, it's all there and it's all really good. I do really believe that there is a really, really high ceiling for him. The role that he is destined to likely play in the NHL is a very difficult one, right? Point producing, creative, offensive, skilled defenseman. There aren't that many of them in the NHL because the defensive shortcomings can often dissuade coaches from playing them a bunch of minutes. I think Buium does have some defensive things to work on, strength-wise, making quicker decisions in his own end, but I think he's a player where the offense and the ability to play defense outside of the defensive zone outweighs the issues. Getting a bit more explosive, I think, is the number one thing, right? Those first couple of steps, get a little bit quicker. If you're under pressure, find a way to drop a little lower, use your body weight a little more, drive forward a little bit quicker, and just create a little bit more space for yourself. He's got the footwork to do it. We saw it on that offensive pickoff. He was facing pressure, did a little pivot, created some space for himself. He's got skill. There's tons of skill there. It's just a matter of, over the next few years, getting more refined with controlling the puck at higher speeds, increasing that speed, ratcheting things up a little bit, and really relying on that speed and intensity level to counter maybe some of the physical deficiencies defensively that might be there from Buium. There might have been some moments here where positionally defensively he kind of oversteps his boundaries and gets out of his comfort zone, but I don't really worry too much about that, especially because, the NHL for him I think is a little bit of a ways away and you can take your time and at the rate that works best for him. I'm not really worried at all after this game with what I've seen of Buium. I still love the kid. I think he's a remarkably talented offensive defenseman who has an extremely bright future. When it comes to the power ranking of the series to this point, I'm going to slot him in at number 2. I do think Zane Parekh was a little bit better in terms of the puck control and the creativity in the offensive zone, and I think he got a few better shooting opportunities and a quicker release on his shot. Just sort of stitched things together a little bit better in the offensive zone, but Parekh, with regards to how he sees the ice, how he makes his decisions, how he gets involved in the offensive zone, on and off the puck, I think is a bit ahead of Parekh, but the execution with Parekh, at least in the game that we did, I think was a little bit better. But they're really, really close for me, both of these guys, and they were close on my board. But for me, I think with Buium, he brings a lot more projectable, high-end offensive NHL traits for a defenseman than a lot of these guys that I've seen recently. He had his scoring chances. He set up a few scoring chances. He got involved offensively, and there was plenty to like. So that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We'll be doing more of these, obviously, in the future, so if you have any suggestions on who to do next, definitely leave a comment. If you want to discuss the video, obviously, also leave a comment. You can like and subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a lot. If you really love what we do, you can go to scouching.ca, where a subscription will get you access to all kinds of perks you can check out over there, including a Discord server with data tables and visualizations for players that have already been drafted and players upcoming in the 2025 NHL draft, and plenty of other cool stuff you can check out over there at scouching.ca. So we'll see you in the next one. Again, this was really fun. We're slotting him in at number 2 on the power ranking, and thank you very much. We'll see you later.